In the heart of Brooklyn, where the symphony of the city never quite sleeps, lived a woman named Evelyn Ross. At 67, she was a retired music teacher, and her days were filled with a silence that was louder than any car horn or shouting child. Every morning, she'd open her window, not to feel the breeze, but to listen for a ghost of melody that wasn't there. Her husband, George, had filled their small apartment with piano music every night. Since his passing, the keys had been still, and the silence had become her unwilling companion. One afternoon, while walking through familiar streets that felt increasingly foreign, a faded sign caught her eye. Closing soon. It hung in the window of a dusty old music store, a relic of a bygone era. Drawn in by a sense of shared nostalgia, Evelyn stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten dreams. And there, in the corner, sat a lonely, upright piano. It was scarred and worn, with one key chipped and broken, like a smile with a missing tooth. As Evelyn's fingers hovered over the keys, a flicker of movement at the window caught her attention. A boy, no older than 14, was peering in, his eyes fixed on the piano. He was quiet, almost invisible against the city's backdrop. Evelyn offered a gentle smile. "Do you play?" she asked, her voice soft from disuse. The boy, Marcus, shook his head. "My mom says lessons cost too much." From behind the counter, the store's grumpy owner, Frank, chimed in. "Kid just stares at that piano every day. Never says a word." Evelyn looked from the boy's longing gaze back to the imperfect piano. "Sometimes," she said, more to herself than to him, "all you need is someone to listen." Her finger pressed down on a key. The note was hesitant, soft, but it broke the heavy silence. She played another, and then another. Marcus, drawn by the sound, stepped cautiously inside. Evelyn scooted over on the bench, making room. Before long, their hands were side by side, playing a simple, offbeat tune. It wasn't perfect, but for the first time in a long time, the music store was filled with life. That single afternoon blossomed into a daily ritual. After school, Marcus would meet Evelyn at the half-empty shop. She taught him everything she knew, rhythm, and the patience required to coax music from memory. He was a natural, absorbing her lessons with a speed that amazed her. He learned faster than any student she'd ever had, his fingers dancing across the keys as if they were born to be there. But their time was running out. The final closing day arrived, casting a shadow over their newfound joy. "Can we keep the piano here?" Marcus pleaded with Frank, his voice cracking with desperation. Frank, hardened by years of watching his neighborhood change, just sighed. "No one wants old wood in this city, kid. It's just junk." Just then, Evelyn quietly approached the counter. She placed a worn envelope on the dusty service savings. "I'll take it," she said, her voice firm. "For the boy?" Frank looked from the money to the boy, and for a moment, the gruff exterior seemed to soften. That night, an unlikely pair pushed a rickety upright piano through the rain-slicked Brooklyn streets. Evelyn, with her gentle strength, and Marcus, with his youthful determination, laughed every time the piano slipped off its cart. The rain soaked their clothes, but it couldn't dampen their spirits. They were bringing the music home. The silence in Evelyn's apartment was about to be broken, permanently. Months passed. The piano became the new heart of Evelyn's home, its notes echoing the rhythms of their shared life. When the local community center announced its annual neighborhood fair, Evelyn saw an opportunity. She gently convinced a hesitant Marcus to perform. The night of the fair, the small hall was packed. Marcus walked onto the stage, the spotlight finding him, and he froze. His hands trembled over the keys, the faces in the crowd blurring into one. From the front row, Esau, Ebeline. She wasn't speaking, but her eyes were. She mouthed the words they'd repeated so many times. "Play what your heart remembers." He took a deep breath and began. The melody was soft, tentative at first, the same broken key. Tuna Tady first played in the dusty shop. By the second verse, a hush had fallen over the audience. Even Frank, standing in the back with his arms crossed, was seen wiping a tear from his eye. When the final note faded into the applause, the room erupted. Marcus looked out, not at the cheering crowd, battered Evelyn. In his smile, she saw the same spark, the same life that used to shine in her husband's eyes. The music had found a new home. After the show, a local reporter rushed up to Marcus. That was incredible. Who taught you to play like that? Marcus didn't hesitate. He pointed to Evelyn, who was watching him with pride. She didn't just teach me music, he said, his voice clear and confident. She taught me how to listen. A few weeks later, Evelyn passed away peacefully in her sleep. Her memorial was small, held in the apartment that was no longer silent. The piano sat near the open window, its keys gleaming in the afternoon light. Marcus sat down and began to play. It was their song, the broken key melody, but this time it was perfect. When he reached the chipped key, he played it with a gentle deliberateness, and a small smile touched his lips. "That one's hers," he whispered. And through the open window, the music drifted out, weaving itself into the fabric of the Brooklyn streets. It filled the corners and the alleyways, a beautiful, resilient etcher, filling the silence she had left behind. Reminder that kindness, like music, never truly dies. It simply finds another pair of hands to keep it playing. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking and subscribing for more. We'll see you next time.